or you might not start fast, or you'll start too fast and slow down. But it's all about how you respond, and that's the emphasis that we want to be able to respond. From last year, we didn't respond well in tough situations, and this year that's something that we want to do.
How do you kind of stress test that? Like, is there something you can do for that?
Yeah, it's all about unity. If we're together, if we have chemistry, communication, and belief in the scheme and in each other, then you guys can overcome anything.
When coaches giving the offense a hard time, is that kind of music to your ears? What do you guys say as a defense?
Yeah, I mean that's our job. Our job is to make it tough. We're not here to be complacent for anyone. We're always out here ready to compete. So whenever you feel like you won the day, you can't be too excited about it because you got to come out here the next day and do the same thing.
You still got some work before you leave, but how much you looking forward to going to Tampa and Atlanta after that?
Very looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. The young guys that haven't been against any other team get a chance to compete. Different looks that we'll be able to see, which will help us adjust.
Amani, do you like some of the chippiness we saw at practice today?
Yeah, I mean it wasn't too chippy. I mean I think it was pretty good. It's just competitive. You want energy. You don't want guys just out here like it's a funeral home. You know what I mean? You want excitement. We all love each other. There's no actual hate or animosity between anybody, but we're just competing.
It seems like you're one of the more quiet, lead by example kind of guys. How would you just describe maybe the character or identity of this defense, where it's just such a mixed bag of the very loud guys and then someone like you out there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the loudest guy. I be out here talking. I be giving my fair share of smack talking back. But it's a good mix. You got guys that can, they keep their emotions are high, but then you need some guys to help pull them back and get everyone locked in. If you have too much of one or the other, it can't be as good. So it's just a good balance.
You ever seen Callie get to that level before? Was that first time?
No, Callie, that was nothing. I mean, we've seen Callie. Going 3-14, we've seen him snap a lot last year. So, for you guys, I know you probably didn't see that much often, but Callie's he loves ball. He knows what he's talking about. He's a great coach.
That ball you
Thanks,
broke
man.
on, that you should have picked.
Yep.
Good credit on the one. Are you reading that as soon as his front hand comes off the ball? Is that you guys still talk bird and rabbit?
Yeah. I mean, that's just route concepts, understanding, down and distance, and just what you're seeing. You know what I mean? Whether his hand, I'm pretty sure I broke before he even got his hand off the ball. But it just comes down to film study. That's what we talk about in the DB room. When you see something, believe it and go get it.
I mean, we were 3-14 last year. So, I mean, any hint, sign, signature, or whatever it might be of what last year was that carries over, anybody, not just Callahan, anybody on the team from anywhere, any corner is going to say something about it. Because, in the warm-up today, next to Jalen Duncan and the running backs coach, we were talking, we don't even want to think about last year. We don't even want to think about yesterday, whether we won, lost. Just get out here today and be better.
How do you feel like you guys have been this camp?
I think we've been competing. I think we've been fighting every single day. A lot of guys are bought in. A lot of guys are not only bought into what's happening on the field, but off the field as well, as far as holding ourselves to a standard of watching film, getting our recovery in, being just a well-knit group together, and trying to uphold that standard and culture. That's what we're driving this offseason.
JC, how do you view the chippiness we saw out there at practice today? You were part of some of it.
And get like that. I mean, I personally, I don't like my guys being thrown around like that. And, I know Mace is a scrappy guy. He's a dog. So seeing him trying to finish the block and then Jarvis throw him, I mean, I'm never just going to let that, slide. And I was telling Jeff the same thing because he wasn't really doing the same thing. But, you put your hands on the guys like that, eventually we're going to have to do something about it. And we're trying to limit the fighting. So, you're kind of pushing somebody in a hard place because, that's not what we want to be about. But once you see it kind of get to that point, you're kind of quick to kind of, try to resolve it. So.
And I saw you and Jeff chirping at each other a lot.
Yeah.
How does that matchup sharpen you or excite you?
I love going against Jeff. I mean, he's a competitor. I mean, I see him as my brother because, I know every single day he's going to step up and give me everything he's got. And then he's never going to let you think you won. So I remember a couple plays I had him off the ball a couple times, and he's always going to talk about you didn't do nothing, you didn't, whatever it might be. I know what it is. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a couple plays where he had me today or whatever it might have been in the past, and he's going to definitely let you hear it. So I love going against him. I mean, he's a loud guy. He's rowdy. He's physical, violent, everything you want out of him. And, talking about it earlier with Peter in the locker room, he's gotten a lot better since last year, which, is really hard to do with somebody at his level. So.
Where did you sit? Are you comfortable on the right side? Are you liking that?
I just want to play ball. I don't really care where I'm at.
Conditioning-wise, with the weight loss and the body,
Yeah.
how has it been now that you got some days of rest?
I'm great. I feel amazing. You know, I mean, obviously going to get banged up because you know it's a very physical sport. But as far as conditioning, I mean, I'm 100. Like I'm there.
You got more energy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
You talk about Jeff getting better. How's that showing up, and what could that mean?
A lot
for
quicker.
Yeah.
A lot. I remember seeing it the first day he was out here. I think it was in the OTAs. I saw him out of the corner of my eye against whoever guard was there, and just how quick his in and out was with his hands. So I'm like, I remember seeing that last year. So, what I mean, and then just like you see today, like I remember because we watch film obviously a lot on a lot of teams, and sometimes we stumble across us if we're watching something in the past. And I remember we were at a screen to the right, and Jeffrey chased it down like 40 yards. Now, this was some years ago, and I'm getting like not even flashes. That's exactly what he's doing out here. I mean, if we run a screen or, throw it to the bubble or whatever it might be, you see Jeff, and we put it in the team room because that's the standard of him chasing the ball 40 yards down the field, 50 yards down the field, and then not only chasing it, violently trying to attack the ball and get the ball out. So, some guys just kind of pose like, oh, I'm going to cover the ball and that's it. Like, he's covering, trying to get the ball back. So, just seeing him doing that at this deep into his career and getting so much better at it is really impressive. It's a standard for the whole team.
A couple of times after plays, he'll get in the backfield and yell, "It's too effing easy." I think I've heard him say.
Yeah.
What do you guys think when you do that? Yeah.
You watch the film. I think sometimes he does win the rep. I think other times it's kind of a pressure, maybe not even a pressure, and the ball's already thrown. But like I said, just a competitor, man. I mean, like if I'm somebody who, like, say if I'm a defensive guy and we can't tag off or we got to tag off, whatever it might be, and the ball's in my area, even if I tag off, I'm gonna talk crap, letting them know I'm gonna kill him, like if I'm in pass. You know what I'm saying? Because like that's what it is. You want those defensive guys over there being loud and obnoxious and rowdy. Because to an offense, especially an offense who's not used to it, it's going to throw them off their game. You got a guy like him talking every single play, all you need from an offense and defense is to rattle one guy. You're only as strong as your weakest link. And if you can rattle one guy and make that guy weaker, you're doing your job. So
definitely excited about where that is right now. We've got to continue to improve on it, but I think we seemingly are slowly developing an identity, which I think is a really good step at this point.
Do you think anybody on this line is like full-time nasty, or are you all more switch flippers into mean guys?
Well, I think that, that's an interesting question, Paul. I think, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with being a switch flipper. I think, for me personally, I consider myself someone who's about my business when I go out there. I'm not necessarily try to, like, murder and torque guys into the ground and push people over piles type of person, but I think nasty can just be how intense and how physical you are in your techniques, and I see that from all 5 guys on our line. So in terms of that, I see that. I don't see that lacking at all.
Is there something hard about turning from? I mean, you're a nice dude.
Thanks.
Turning from a nice dude into a guy that finishes plays and does what happens in the trenches of an NFL game.
I think anyone at this level is already great at that, in my opinion. I don't think you make it this far by ever being the guy who's just, I'm going to go out there and play patty cake and stuff like that. So I think I don't see any issue with that. I've always never had an issue. I think it's just through experience and reps. Some days it's an energy thing with, third day in pads, kind of a gloomy day. We go out, you got to bring the energy a little bit. But I think it's just being out there and being able to connect in your mind what's happening and just going.
Did you survive if you didn't do that out here?
I mean, I truly think you just wouldn't really be a player in the NFL. I don't see that from the guys on our line, if that's what you guys are insinuating.
How does the fire the defense brings, both vocally and physically, help to sharpen you guys on the line?
Yeah, there's a lot of intensity. Obviously, Jeff is the one who's always brought that. For me, I think it's just I'm not really a trash talker or a fighter or anything like that. For me, it just forces me to really lock in and hone my technique and be intense as I can about what my job is and just do that. So I think it brings a little bit of noise and a little bit of pressure, in a practice environment when you're not in a stadium. I think that's a little bit more natural on game day. But I love it. I love the intensity. I love the back and forth. And I think iron does sharpen iron in that sense. And we've got to respond more to it. But yeah.
We heard Callahan voicing some displeasure at the end of practice. How do you put a day like today into perspective in terms of the highs and lows of going through camp?
There's always going to be highs and lows. I feel like I've been through a good handful of days of man, that was not a good day offensively. We didn't execute at our at the way we should. And we've got to be better. I think it starts with players. It shouldn't be on the head coach to kind of chew us out a little bit. We should take ownership of that and feel that. I could kind of feel – it's sort of like when he started yelling, I was like, oh, there it is. Like I almost expected it just because of the way it felt. And we as leaders have to not let it get that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's never I've got so many reps, been with so many teams. I constantly pull up situations for them. Hey, or maybe a similar play or a protection, even talking Denver, Vance Joseph, he was at Denver, I was in Vegas. Like all of that stuff, just pour into them, tie it into the install. If we have time, we do a little Titans talk, teaching coverages, teaching just kind of dripping water on the rock a little bit every single day as we close that gap and get ready for September.
The two balls today, Woods early broke on one with great speed.
Yeah.
Safety, Amani had one later. Is that partly those guys having keys on Cam from over the period, or is there something?
No, I would say certain things or certain plays. These defensive guys, they get to go out, kind of talk about it a little bit. They got hit on one or two of them. They come back, change the coverage structure, things like that. But there's answers for those plays, and that's for him. That's kind of like getting those extra reps on a play that he's familiar with and in a different coverage, which he got today. And I love it. We get instant feedback now with the screen. You guys see the screen. I have the iPad, kind of getting ready for a little bit of in-season things like that too, where you don't have to wait or just hear me say it. He can see it. Don't have to wait another 2 hours to get back to a meeting room too. I think that can speed up his process as well.
Those guys are keying when his front hand comes off the ball. Like how much do you guys talk on the other side about knowing that's when they're?
Yeah, these defensive guys, it's a recognition. That's what they do. And certain things tied in with feet. They look at feet, they look at shoulders, they look at his eyes, they look at hand placement. All those things come into play. But for us right now, it's just keeping good fundamentals within our play, execute our play, and move on to the next play.
Last year with Will, you guys talked a lot about when he would come off the field after a mistake, he would know exactly what happened. Is Cam kind of at that point where if he comes off after a rep, good or bad, he kind of knows what you're going to say, you know what he's going to say, that back and forth?
He does. He's actually he has good recognition right now for a young guy. But as what he's seeing right now, every period's a little different. We had backed up for the first time today. You get to feel that. I get to talk about if you do take a drop, have some awareness of where you are. And he's had backed up plays before, and it's just learning situational football, as you guys well know. Decision making and managing the situation usually comes out an outcome when a win and a loss, especially at that position.
When you guys have those conversations, is it usually you initiating, or does he kind of come to you? How's that process work?
It's both.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's a journeyman guy like Tim Boyle add to the quarterback room?
Well, I think both those guys have been great for, they're focusing on their reps as well, but they're also pouring into Cam a little bit at a time, within the meeting room, out on the field, because they've been there, kind of done that. They know what's coming, and he's been, I've been pleased with him.
Where are you in the idea of the best way to get better is to play the game as opposed to somebody resting? You know what I mean? Being in that incubator, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I mean, my favorite when we come out here is just move the ball, play ball. Absolutely, just coming out and practice.
As far as like with Ward, we're going to play him. He's going to be the guy as opposed to some of the other situations where they've sat him or, sat their quarterback.
You're talking about like preseason, things like that?
I'm just talking about just period. Like
in general?
Being the guy.
I think every team's a little different. Every guy's, at a certain stage, ready to go or not. But I've been a part of kind of both, really, with Mac, his rookie year in 2021 in New England, and kind of Aiden O'Connell, his rookie year when, the change kind of happened and Jimmy was down, he was up. So I've kind of seen both, and it's just, they just got to keep growing. They do. They got to keep growing and keep grinding and just keep coming out and practicing.
With that being so situational or conditional, what is it that makes this situation right for Ward to come in and play and be the guy kind of stuff?
I mean, it's just every day, like right now, I'm not really talking about September.
Right.
I'm more focused about today's practice, and how much can I get done, and then we got a day off and coming back next week. I'm really excited about going to Tampa next week. I think that's going to be, for him, these two trips for him are going to be great. They really are.
his pass sets. We're trying to get him more physical. We've changed a lot of angles to his pass pro. And Dan's worked extremely hard and has been unbelievably receptive and open, to new ideas and new techniques to his game. And he's implemented them. And you can see his length and his athleticism show up on the edge. And we're working through training camp, not getting him any type of chip help or sideboard help. So we're cutting him loose. And so he's going to see a lot of variations of pass rush. He's going to see power. He's going to see move guys. He's going to see speed. So having the ability to be exposed to all of those different aspects of defensive rushes has allowed him to get better. So we're tweaking everything with him in the sense of trying to get him to play square, get him to play longer, shutting down power earlier. I think that in general, that's what, most coaches in our league do, for the left tackle spot, because you're going to see elite rushers and you're going to see elite moves. So we're trying to get him exposed to all of that, in a very short period of time here.
Who's the leader of your group, and does that person set the tone for them?
Yeah, I think they all lead. I think anybody can lead. I think that it's you don't have to see on your chest to walk around and lead. I think it's a group thing. I think they all work together. They lead together. I think they've got to reach out, and first off, I think you've got to build a rapport and a relationship with your unit so that they're all on the same page. And they get confidence from that, and then it just kind of oozes into other areas of the team, whether it's a drill, a team unit drill where you're moving the ball and, hey, the line's got to lead the group, whether it's on the field or off the field in the weight room. I think they got to set the tempo, and I think that's a huge aspect, the leadership. And like I said, anybody can lead, and it's like, leading by example is not something we talk about all the time. It's like, do your job and do it at the highest level. And that's where leadership comes from. When you watch a player go out day to day and grind and work, there's a lot of respect. There's a respect factor to that. They don't have to be yellers and screamers, the best leaders I've seen have always kind of just gone around and whispered in somebody's ear to help, encourage, or give a point to. So there's all types of leadership, but we're always focused on using all of it, to help us get better.
And I know the players are excited to play the Bucs, but you as a coach, how excited are you to see them go against Vita Vea and those guys over there?
Yeah, I think, we got a lot of respect for the Bucs and what they've done, follow them through the years. When I was in Cleveland, we played them. It's always been a solid program. I would say to you that it's a challenging front because they know they make their living on defense, and they do such a great job coaching defense that it'll be a good barometer for us. They'll be good, they'll be bad, but the biggest thing and the most important thing is the takeaway, from the matchups and what we can learn, versus variations of matchups. So it'll be great for the players. It'll be great tape. It'll be really good tape, good or bad, to point out, some of the technical aspects of their play.
Last one.
Bill, have you always found in training camp that the offense is usually behind the defense at this point, or
I don't know. I don't know if that's all true or not. I just think, like, for us, I think Denard's defense presents a lot of multiplicity, and it shows you just about every variation of pressure that you're going to see during the season. So the exposure, to this type of system is really unique. And I've only been in it a few times in my career. When I was in New York with Rex Ryan, he'd come walking out the door blitzing, And honestly, we would break stretch. We get into, right after the stretch, the first drill of the day was called Bring It Period. And he would bring 8 pressures, and you had to block them all up. And they came from everywhere. And we also did 2-minute right out of stretch, where he was bringing pressures. So the variety, the multiplicity, the volume of pressures that they bring is really challenging, and it checks us. It makes sure that systematically and structurally that we're sound, and it also kind of bleeds into finding different solutions, against certain problems. So it's a good give and take in that regard, but it's a really good defense from the aspect of all the variation that you're going to see, whether it's in the base packages or the sub packages. It's impressive. So we're exposed to everything, and so that I feel like when we get into the season, when things start to, settle down and you're not seeing the volume of things that we see from our defense, you're seeing more game plan specific pressures that we can relate to and say, oh yeah, remember this from training camp? We worked on this. They had this pressure. They had that pressure that's similar to what Denard does. So it's good to build, kind of that library and that experience from training camp and then wean it into the season.
Well, they all stand out. They're looking well. They're doing a good job. They're learning, competing. We just talk to those guys each day to try to get 1% better. I know people think it's a cliche, but it's definitely imperative for a young guy to do that. They're all just learning. They're earning the right to come back out here one more day. But they are fighting and they're working hard and they're getting better.
Daryl seems like he's taking advantage of his opportunity with the ones. What kind of growth are you seeing from him?
He is, and just looking at the film from last year, you saw a lot of flash plays in that, so I'm not surprised by that. But him getting the reps, he's just getting better and better. He's embracing the role as he's asked to do right now. He's learning situational football. We're asking him to do a little bit different techniques. So all those guys are learning some different techniques. So he's learning that, and he's really being very diligent and detailed, getting better every day from his footwork standpoint, his eye placement, and his technique. So I'm excited to see him continue to grow.
As you work with Jarvis, how is it just being able to, he's a very aggressive corner.
Yeah, he has some energy. He has some energy.
But also play like within the rules.
It's really not that hard. You teach him the game, and he understands that, everything we do has to be between the white lines, all right, and through the echo of the whistle. All right, I'd rather have a guy have to pull back than a guy have to push forward. That's for sure. Because I think his heart is in the right. I know his heart is in the right place. He's a very, very intelligent player. He's a big picture balcony thinker. But yes, he's emotional. But I want that. So am I, at times. But that's why we need each other to kind of push each other and pull each other back when the time is needed. But he's going to always go forward. So I'm not worried about that.
What are some of the things you do just to work with him to keep those, like today, right? He had this scuffle with Kinsey after. Like, how do you manage to keep that in check?
Well, just talk situation stuff. Like, what could that cost us? All right, it's a difference between being competitive and combative, and we aren't going to apologize for being competitive. Combative, you're not getting work done. You can cost your team in a combative situation. You can hurt yourself. You can hurt someone else. All right, but it's a fine line between that. All right, one thing I tell him and I tell all our guys, like, when you get to those moments, I need to know that I can trust you, that I can look you in the eye and you say, okay, coach, cool, I'm back, I got you. All right, and that's exactly what he was able to do. He said, cool, coach, I'm good, I know what you're saying, and let's ready to roll. And then he went out there and had a heck of a practice. So that's maturity and that's growth, and that's a lot of credit to him as a young man and growing and maturing as a football player and as a person.
Really well, he's doing well. He started off in the spring kind of, up and down, whatever. This fall, he and Burks was kind of getting the same kind of reps, splitting reps, and now since Burks is out, obviously, he's taking more reps and he's taking advantage of those reps. He's catching some big plays down the field, making some contested catches. So I'm pleased where he is, and when I glance over at special teams, I think he's doing a good job of that too.
With some of the frustration we could see from Ridley today, how do you coach him after a practice like this, or maybe just your general approach with him?
Rid is a very competitive guy, and he's a very in-the-moment guy. So when he's frustrated, right now. So what I do, I let the frustration leave, let him cool down, then talk to him. He's very receptive to my coaching and my instruction and my correction. So I have no problem with that. Guys are competitive. They get frustrated. It's football. But at the end of the day, he calms down, he cools down, and he's receptive to everything we're trying to coach him.
What can you say just about the development of Bryce Oliver from year 1 to year 2 here with you?
Yeah, he looks like a guy who's not a rookie anymore. He's been around the league a little bit. He's been through a year, so he's responding well to different things, different coverages. His blocking has improved. To be honest with you, he's finishing better in the blocking game. And again, he's a big play guy. He's a big guy with speed, vertical speed. So he's made some good plays vertically down the field.
I think it's been outstanding. First things first, like I said earlier, Cody's a consummate pro. He's always prepared. He gets ahead of things as far as what the offense is doing. He knows our game plans, and James needs that. He needs a veteran player next to him because, let's face it, James hadn't had a whole lot of reps, and he's still learning the position and learning how to be a pro. So Cody's been really good for him, just to teach him how to go about his business, how to study tape, how to come to practice and do things the right way. And James is starting to take to it.